So Mary Frances Whitfield is a self-taught black artist, and she paints a lot of paintings about either KKK, lynching, or other social situations that black people dealt with in the early part of the 19th century.
My name is John Field, and I'm the curator here at the Abroms-Engel Institute for the Visual Arts at UAB. I had known a little bit about Mary's work, with her being an artist from Birmingham originally. What I did not know was her series of works depicting the lynching and racial terror. So one of the things that was really important to me with Mary's exhibition and having that exhibit here at AEIVA is, one of Alabama's most significant contributions to the art world is that we have produced a number of the most famous and recognizable outsider artists. And so in the world of outsider art, she is relatively well known. Interestingly enough, not so much in her hometown. And so these paintings, these lynching paintings, have actually never been shown here. And we are her first major, I think we're her first only solo museum exhibition. Her body of work depicting the lynchings was brought to my attention by a pair of local collectors once they found out I was a community partner in the Jefferson County Memorial Project.
So the Jefferson County Memorial Project is a committee of individuals who were put together to receive the Jefferson County Memorial Project piece from the EJI, so that's the Equal Justice Initiative. So they have a museum that has all of the names listed for every county that someone was lynched in. And then they want to send that piece to each of those counties so that they could put up or erect their own monument. So that's what we're doing here in Jefferson County with the Memorial Project. With this exhibition, we have two paintings here at the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute. One is called Four Little Girls. The Four Little Girls painting depicts the four little girls that were killed in the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing. And then the other painting that we have here is called KKK, and it depicts a man being lynched with his family watching in the background as KKK members with full regalia, hood and robe and everything are lynching this individual. And when you look at that painting, it looks like the whole painting is on fire. So she kind of put an artistic context to a lot of the things that black people were feeling during that time and also experiencing.
She's channeling the cultural history of her ancestors through these stories told to her by her grandmother when she was a child. And so to Mary, she is sort of compelled to paint these images that she sees in her head that are basically like illustrations of these stories. And so she is literally sort of telling the history of her ancestors through these.
So during the slavery times, you had what was called breaking. And that's when they usually took the strongest male, usually had a family. It was someone that people were looking up to, the other slaves would look up to, or that he may be the one that was willing to run away, or whatever the case may be. And then they would take that individual and publicly break him. Sometimes it was just by being whipped, sometimes it was being castrated. Sometimes it was being just beaten, just to show the rest of the group that if you step out of line, this is what can happen to you, or worse. And lynching was no different. Keeping black people in their place. And all Jim Crow laws were about keeping black people in their place. And then lynching was usually the result of someone who stepped outside of those Jim Crow laws and did something that they weren't supposed to do.
There's been this sort of, over the decades and centuries, this kind of picture of what it means to be Southern, what it means to live in the South, that everywhere else in the South it's been a very incomplete picture thus far. And I do think that Southern artists are something that have been grossly underrepresented in the visual arts world, especially in contemporary art. And so I think it's very important for artists like Mary and for institutions like us to sort of prop up these artists that are from the South, making work about the South, and actually making work that it paints a little more accurate depiction of what it actually means to live in the South. Art has a really sort of uncanny ability to act as a conduit for these sorts of difficult conversations. It would be very different to put a series of photographs in that gallery that depict actual lynchings, that would produce a completely different result. There's something about the artwork itself being able to talk about something that we wouldn't normally necessarily be able to talk about.
Children always ask me about, what about black and white people not liking each other and things like that. So we use art to be able to kind of convey some of those messages without getting real in-depth and using words and things that they may not understand. I deal with a lot of third and fourth graders. They'll be leaders of this world very soon, and it's really important that they understand these issues that are going on, and that they're empathetic to them, and that they're tolerant of people that are different than them, and so that I say those things to them, that hopefully that they'll be, leading the world soon, and that they'll be dialing us 50 years forward and not taking us back to the Jim Crow era where inequalities were just rampant.